I mute my mic, it's because I'm blowing my nose, not because I'm walking away. Just so you know.
And what a lovely morning.
What a lovely morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning roast, and I am, of course, Sugar Chris. And a bit of a change today.
Sugar crisp. I told you left a link up. It's like you put a link out on Twitter. Some weirdo is going to click on it and see what the hell's going on.
Well, you're always welcome, Randy.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
it. We
that.
like you here. But apologies to everybody in the chat. I originally was going to have on the gentleman behind the upcoming book Bite, but I haven't heard from him, so I don't know if something maybe there was a communication issue there or something. I don't know.
Was that Bite with a Y or an I?
An I.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Bite.
Yeah, it's like these shark people.
Yeah, it has to do with teeth and not bites.
Okay. Teeth and not computers. All right.
Yeah.
Understood.
So apologies everybody in the chat. Luckily Randy graced us with his wonderful presence.
Yeah. Okay. Graced you. Sure. Like I said, there was a link there, and I'm like, hey, I wonder if this is active. Click.
Yeah, and right before you jumped in, we're like, so okay, we'll do the stream, but what we're going to talk about? And boom, what's up?
Oh, dude, with everything going on in comics today, you have to ask yourself what to talk about. Holy crap. Sometimes they can't shut us up. If you've watched the Indie Volt show lately, we're running over like 15, 20 minutes at a time. It's like Sunday Funnies is a great example of this show I do on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Indie Volt Network, by the way. We'd start talking and we go off on the weirdest tangents, just all over the place.
I missed this last one. I had to add something else planned for that day, so I had to come home and take a nap. So I missed out on the Sunday fun.
Well, the theme was, have you read any good funny books lately? And I'd have to get up. I'll be right back just a second here. But anyway, the theme was, have you read any good funny books lately? And suddenly we were talking about Substack and who knows what the hell else.
I heard about that. It's
got a little crazy.
I think you were telling me about that, Sim. That Substack stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you read a good issue of Plop? That's what I want to know.
Plop.
DC,
never even heard of that one.
Basil Wolverton covers, just phenomenal. So look at that. That's genius working right there. Never seen Basil Wolverton before. Genius work. Plop ran for quite a few years back in the late 60s. It was a so-called humor magazine. Sergio Aragonis did a lot of contribution to it. Frank Robbins is in it.
Oh, I should
another
Chris, go full screen.
Look at that nose. Basil did a whole lot of work. Did Space Hawk, which is a public domain property that you run across every once in a while. But
I like that one.
He was at his best when he was at his weirdest, and that they loved his stuff so much they ran it on the back cover as well. Look at them teeth. Isn't that awesome? He started. He came to the notice of Gaines back when he was doing Mad magazine as a comic, the Mad comic, and had him do some stuff that's just absolutely insane. Some of these covers too. Let me find the great one here. This is Wally Wood right there. Sorry, I probably should have taken it out of the plastic so you don't get that reflection working. But
it's okay.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's some wild stuff.
Just crazy imaginative stuff.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that one.
Never? You've never heard of Plop? They even did a Plop Giant, which isn't nearly as good.
Really? Wow. Yeah,
it's like you'll go Plop out of your mind. Yeah. DC doesn't want to admit it. They don't want to admit their past anyway. These people are idiots. They have such great stuff, and it's all, I'm sure they've got it all on microfiche somewhere. And look at that. If that ain't suggestive, what the hell is?
Somebody got kicked real hard.
Yeah, and hard. That's Basil Wolverton again. Basil's amazing, or was amazing. Beautiful line work. Picked up all sorts of oddball stuff. When's the last time you saw Classics Illustrated for Faust? That's deep literature for kids right there.
Yeah, I had some of the classics illustrated, but never got a Faust.
Harvey Comics Jigsaw. Man of 1,000 parts. Stretching out all over the place. And, of course, gorilla on the cover.
Yeah,
It's guaranteed sales right there.
every time Randy shows up, I learn about so many new books.
Spy Man from Harvey. You'll never guess who drew that picture. The picture of that hand. Take a look at that. You can tell by the style. Once I tell you who did it, you'll go, yeah, of course. You know who it is. What?
Ditko?
No, that's not Ditko. Take a look at that line work. How crisp that is, that inking work. It's beautiful. Outside of the tape tear right here. I picked these up at Grand Rapids Con. Somebody was cleaning out their attic because it's got that attic smell to it. Right there, that great must of newsprint. Here we are. That hand. It's the only contribution that he did to the Harvey line of heroes that I'm aware of, outside of maybe help design the costume of that character. That's Steranko right there. Good old Jim. I love Jim. Yeah. And then my favorite of the catch, Dynamite Joe, the blast crazy Marine.
Oh, the Rainbow.
When you see that ramp, he's shooting an arrow.
That's the inspiration for Rainbow.
That's crazy, Marie.
We're still in this war, you jokers.
Stack of dynamites and an arrow.
As long as old Joe has a stick of dynamite left, we're all good. And look at the right here. These guys all being blown up in a Jeep yet. Boom. Or that's a clip.
That's what happens when you don't have dynamite.
That's right. Step on the wrong ones. There you go. And then I picked up a classic Magnus robot fighter.
Oh.
Because there are times when you get these Ming the Merciless like characters that you just can't refuse. Plus, of course, it's all of it is the great Russ Manning. So crisp and tight. The only superhero in a magenta tunic and white boots.
Wasn't he part of Valiant Comics at a point?
Oh yeah, Valiant Shooter come in and got the rights to the gold stuff. So.
Yeah, I only have one Magnus from the older stuff.
Oh, Dark Horse put all them together into archives. They're amazing hardcovers. Oh. If you haven't seen Russ Manning's works, he did a run on Tarzan. He started out doing
from the past.
Oh yeah, did the Star Wars comic strip right at the start before Williamson come in. Manning was doing it. Here's Red Rider. That's the last one I'll show you. I had a nice little haul. There was some guys there selling stuff for $4 a hit. Look at that. Look at that crazy ink work.
Is that where was it Red Rider guns came from? The little
yeah. Just like Buster Brown's shoes, Mm-hmm. That's how you catch some of the comics were huge back in the day. And you've got a stereotype native kid running through the strip. But look at these faces. I know you probably don't know what I think he influenced here, but look at some of them faces. Have you ever watched or seen an episode of Clutch Cargo? The cartoon? Oh, it's the same style. I wouldn't be surprised if he did the work on that strip, just like Alex Toth did the Space Angel strip. Amazing stuff. It's great stuff. And of course, I found it in the stack.
OMAC.
OMAC #1.
Oh, look at that.
The first real girl in the box. Right there. And he's throwing her out. There you go.
Wow. How much was that? Did that cost you a lot?
$4.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. We had long boxes of stuff. I was going through real quick at the end of the show, going, looking through all of I pulled the oddball stuff I hadn't seen before. Except for OMAC. When I saw that OMAC book, I said, yeah, I can stand to have another one of these for $4. So
yeah, one of these days I'll get me some OMAC. I've never had a copy of OMAC.
The cool when I was a kid growing up and this stuff was coming out, that's how old I am. But when this stuff was coming out, I hated it. This is the stupidest, most inane crap I've ever seen in my life. This guy can't even draw fingers. What the hell's wrong with this? But you sit there and you look at it with the advantage of maturity, and you go, you get past the thought, what was this guy on? And you start looking at the imagination and how at the time he was doing fill-ins, he was doing covers, he was doing the demon all at the same time. Then he comes up with Olmec, this guy with this mohawk in the future type situation, just hardcore science fiction, just bizarre science fiction.
And Olmec was pretty sweet.
And you really have to marvel at the guy's genius, literally at at his style and the fact, his individuality. That's the thing, because he was pulling stuff literally out of thin air. You go back and you look at the old 70s stuff that he did, and you go, what's up with this guy putting a guy's face in the middle of his stomach and doing all sorts of. They had Black Panther fighting a giant toad. It was amazing, And then that was after he did this. He went back to Marvel afterwards, kind of on his hands and knees, and started doing everybody's covers and Devil Dinosaur in 2001. And
I thought the concept of Olmec was awesome. When you start reading the first issues, it's just you never got the conclusion to it. Like there's no conclusion.
Yeah, he kind of does wander a bit on some of his writing, but
one of my favorite that he did at DC was the Demon. Personally, I really really liked the Demon is.
And again, you go back through like a month or two into Prince Valiant. That's where he got the Demon from. He's got Prince Valiant dressing up as this character to scare somebody else, and it's exactly the Demon. It's amazing how close the costumes are.
But it's like when I read the Challengers of the Unknown, the first issues. That's Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
it's Fantastic Four.
Well, he did that in collaboration with a couple other writers, if I remember right. I don't think it was even Joe Simon at that point. He had two other writers working with him.
Is this what you was talking about, Randy? This one?
Yes. Yep. That one.
Okay.
Excuse me for a minute. I shall be right back.
Alrighty. That'll give me a chance to check the chat here. We've got Mark with us. Mr. Middleton. I told him on Twitter, Sim, I told him we need to have him back on. We ain't had him on in a while. So we can get more sound clips. How much he likes Big Dick.
How much what? Anyway.
Let's see. We got Soul with us.
That's some guy named Richard down the hall, isn't it? Yeah. That's
Mr. Feed. We got Genuine Comics. I think he's already left, though, unfortunately.
He's coming.
Let's see who else we got in here in the chat.
It's not as old, but this is what I got myself.
There you go.
The Omnibus of the Age of Apocalypse.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been collecting all the old omnibus. Like I've got the entire collection of Jack Kirby and Walt Simonson.
Oh,
this is
cool.
I really like them. If you take out this.
Yeah. Yep. Looks nice. When I was at Grand Rapids Con, I saw an omnibus for I guess now he's Shang-Chi. Back when I was a kid, it was always Shang-Chi. But we were always mispronouncing.
They changed it?
Well, apparently his correct pronunciation is Shang-Chi. Master of Kung Fu. And I'm like,
I've said it wrong this whole time.
I got a whole, me too. I got a whole run of those because I caught a store just as they were closing and they had discount prices because he was getting out. So I ran through his long box and pulled the stuff I didn't think was ever going to get reprinted. But when I was at Grand Rapids Con, I saw an omnibus of Master of Kung Fu and I went, whoa, where did this? They must have paid the Sax Romer estate. That they didn't really want to have to pay him ever again. That's why there was never a Shang-Chi Essentials. I'm pointing back like this, like as if you can see it. But I've got an entire bookcase over on one side that is all essentials, and I've got another bookcase directly behind me. Well, not where that clutter is. I should put my sheet up, but another bookcase back here that's got all Showcase Presents because when that format came out, I had to have them. $15 for 25 issues in black and white. You can't argue with that, even if it's on newsprint. And that Marvel DC's version is Shonen Jump.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys are idiots for not continuing this.
Yeah. I mean,
What's wrong with you?
it's affordable and it gets people into it to read.
Even the crappy stuff, like towards the end run of the Defenders and the oddball, X-Men after Claremont was done or something like that. They're still worth buying. Wolverine's a good example.
When I was collecting the Kirby stuff, it was the Super Friends, wasn't it? Like the type of Super Friends that they did.
Yeah. No, are you thinking Superpowers?
Yeah, Superpowers.
That Kirby was on. Kirby and Greg Theakston.
Yeah. Like it was just to promote toys. It's not the best stories, but it's enjoyable as the art wise, and
I get to see that. I get to see that conversation in the office. Jack, we want to produce a toy line with all these characters, and we want you to draw it. I'm on it. I got it done. I'll have it to you in 2 weeks. Not a problem. I can see that. I can see that conversation happening.
So says to Randy, you can bury the books in dry cat litter for a day or two to get the smell out. Works for books that smell like a pack of smokes.
Why would you want to? Holy crap, that's amazing smell. That's a better smell to me than the if you ever backed the Only Death Can Save Us book, because Russ forgot to have them seal the ink. And there, I had to leave the Only Death Can Save Us book out in the foyer for like 2 or 3 weeks to try to air it out. My wife looked at that book and went, "Oh, this book is really interesting." And then she opened it up and says, "This book stinks."
He wanted everybody to get high off his book.
I said, "That's the smell of quality right there." That's what it was.
I liked it. I was like, I opened it up, I was like, ooh,
yeah, there you go. You can fill a room with that smell. Yeah. Way back in my youth, again, long time ago, I used to run a chain of bookstores that had an adult aisle in them. And that smell is the smell of quality. We used to have photo books of, say, adult photography that would carry that smell. And that was always the high-end, high-run books with the finest print capabilities were always carried that smell. But yeah, that's when I opened that book, I went, "Hey, I'm back, 35 years, 40 years ago." Wow. Long before videotapes, that kind of thing.
Now, I would hope, being wonderful chat people in there, super enlightened, y'all know who Randy is. Because if not, I'll be very disappointed in any of you who don't know Randy.
Who?
Nobody knows who I am. Exactly who?
Well, no, Randy.
We got the Zim and the Sim this morning.
Yeah.
Randy's kind of a big deal.
I'm not a big deal, dude. No.
Well, yeah. Well,
I'm just. It's like I explained to everybody. I'm in comics like Richard Gere was in An Officer and a Gentleman.
Let's just say
the sergeant has you on your back and he's constantly berating you and he tells you to quit and you look at him and you go, "I got nowhere else to go."
If you're a comic book fan, and you ever fell on one of those weird little comics there, the indie comics, yeah, he probably worked on one of them.
Somewhere back there. I didn't realize that I was in the middle of the outlaw comics trend until a couple of weeks ago when I was watching an episode of Cartoon Kayfabe and they opened up a copy of Caliber Presents #1. And I'm going through there going, "Don't talk about the lettering. Don't talk about the lettering." It's like, "Oh, look, James O'Barr doing the Crow, and here's Tim Vigil doing this, and here are all these great old outlaw characters." And I'm sitting there going, "Don't talk about the lettering." I know I lettered at least one of those stories. I know I did. I'm sorry, and just don't talk about it.
Yeah, I still remember the day I was watching y'all's live stream and it clicked that it was you.
This is that old guy.
I was like, "Wait a minute, Tim's from the Universe."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wait a minute, he also did this one, and then he did that one." I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Oh my gosh, I know him."
So yeah, there were times I just signed Zim. I explained to Gary Reed one time, and he never let me forget it. I always signed stuff Zim that I wasn't really proud of. And used my full name on other stuff. I stopped doing that and just signed everything Zim after that.
The funniest part was me telling him Randy Zimmerman, and he was like, I don't know. And eventually out of nowhere, it's like, "Hey, I know who that guy is. He did that book." And I'm like,
yeah, I read that. I read the hell out of Anniversary. I had 2 issues, but I read the hell out of them.
Never get tired of hearing that. Yeah. Did you get the
I love-
mischievous
Oh, I got
the mischievous tier then? Yeah, there you go.
these three.
Yeah.
And then
Those I
got
love.
some
And
other ones.
if you go through that second Cheevious, we had everybody at the time that we knew go through and do their version of mischievous that we put it in that number 2. So Tim Vigil is in there drawing furred up cats. Amazing. Scott John K. Snyder III is in there. Guy Davis has got a drawing in there that looks awesome. And there's just a lot of great stuff in that book.
And then it just dawned on me. Tales from the Universe is like anthropomorphic stuff. So the chat's gonna give me hell about furry stuff again.
Well, we were
that's
before
something
that.
new.
Aniverse really sprung out of Carl Barks and the old DuckTales, the stuff that everybody knows as DuckTales. That was Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge back then. Bruce Cochran put beautiful bound volumes of that stuff together. That's just amazing. But that really came out of that because as a kid, I was reading Uncle Scrooge and all of these crazy adventures they were going on. Most, like I said, most of which have been lifted for DuckTales. But just amazing stuff, and it was just a natural progression. Well, what if you take what Barks had done and grow it up a little bit and stick them in a science fiction universe, and there you go. And at the same time, we were doing Aniverse. What Steve, I want to say Gallagher, but it starts with a G, was doing Albedo, and Albedo was where the first Usagi Yojimbo come out of by the great Stan Sakai.
Yep.
And we were both, and he labeled his stuff anthropomorphics. That's where we actually learned the word. And Aniverse was really created by Stuart Kerr, the name, because we wanted to do an animal universe. So he just took Anna and Verse and put them together, and it was Aniverse. And who knew that, a couple of years later, Larry Hama would claim that he created the word for Bucky O'Hare. And it's like, no, dude, you got Bucky O'Hare from us. You're not kidding. You're not fooling any of us. We know
I was a big fan of Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah, it's just bad timing. I knew the Eastman and Laird coming up, and they got the deal, and Bucky O'Hare got the cartoon, and we got nothing. So
Maybe you should bring the Aniverse back.
Bad timing. Well, I've been looking at the characters a lot, and Jason Moore and myself have been talking about doing an omnibus and throwing a bunch of new material in it because
Hell yeah.
Because we would put out an open call for folks that wanted to do it, because I had no idea. This book I did 35 years ago. People would still remotely remember or bump. A lot of folks have bumped into it in the dollar boxes and have said, this stuff's really good. And I'm like, yeah, thanks, But
I know, never read it. I'm curious.
And we've ran little short stories here and there. When I was doing the Flint Comics newspaper, I was running short stories through, because I love short stories, because it's a quick in and out, with a character, you get to introduce them and then finish the story off and go on to something else. And that's what I like doing. If you see the HeroBot book, that's got a collection of short stories in number 1. We get a little more long-winded as we go along. There's a 16-page story in number 2 and a 22-page story in number 3. And, there's a lot of stuff to be done in HeroBot's universe. That's fun. But if things keep going the way that they are, don't be surprised if you see a mischievous series pop up, or I'm not sure if I would do another Tales from the Aniverse series, but I might give a couple of characters their own book, like JB Space, which I really love. He's anybody who hasn't read it, JB Space runs a special delivery service in space, and everybody thought I got the name from Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China, but I really didn't. I had a boss whose initials were JB, and he acted exactly like JB Space acts, because JB Space has a constant narration running in his head that's like he's Han Solo, and he's super cool and all this, and really he's a bumbling idiot. And it's so much fun to run that first person narration off of what's actually happening. Like in I believe it's Tales number 2 that Suga has. Mischievous and runs into JB literally, and JB imagines this big running romance, and basically it's just him being knocked to the floor, and Mischievous going, "Watch your step, asshole," and just moving on. But JB sees this whole romance in his head,
I could still remember
that kind of thing.
I could still remember the one that I had all the time with the big black furred guy with the middle hand, like an emperor or something. Or
Faltress, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like taking a shower, and this unicorn guy, I think, is trying to like assassinate me. He's just like
That's
comes in,
Gore. Yeah. Gore is a zebra corn assassin. There's a whole league of assassins, but Gore is just nuts. He just likes going around killing people.
He's like, bam, bam.
You know,
It's like blood.
And that was, if you show the cover for Tales from the Anniversary 3, you see that was by Kirk Jarvinen. There, the cover that Sugar's got, and that really says everything about Gore right there. Yeah,
Yeah.
And sitting there happy with a little buzzsaw gun. Yeah. But those were fun times. They're solid characters, and I created Tales from the Anniversary along with Susan Van Camp. We did it together. Really, it's a 50-50 thing. I had JB Space, she had Mischievous, and then suddenly another character came in, Falters come in, and pretty soon we've got a whole universe of characters and stories that we want to tell. Because when you first start doing comics and you realize the power that you have because you're able to tell your own story the way that you want to tell it. All of a sudden, every story that you can think of just bombards you, and everybody, when they start comics, has the big, broad, spanning epic that runs, almost as large as Asimov's Foundation trilogy, just hundreds of years of storytelling of space battles and all of this. And that's what we had, but we cut it down into little short stories of stuff. And Sue went on to do. Sue was really more into painting and illustration work and more technical things. We would constantly butt heads because I come from a whimsical sequential art background, of Barks and cartoony. Yeah, my style is very cartoony. And so I was always one to happily black box everything. And Sue was always the one that had to have it explained. It has to make sense. We would butt heads a lot. So it got to the point. That's why Tales from the Anniversary, the original run, only runs 6 issues because we were constantly butting heads, and she was doing her stories and I was doing my stories, and we kind of very, as often as we could, we would try to collaborate. One would ink over top of the other, or whatever. One would write, the other one would draw. But it got to the point where Sue just wanted to go. She had discovered Bob Ross by that time and wanted to go and do fine illustration work. You see the cover for Tales 2 that's a painting of Mischievous. That's by Susan Van Camp. And she went on to paint every unnecessary card or every necessary object card pretty much for the first run of Magic cards.
Oh,
and
nice.
And when they approached her, they offered her a percentage. Yeah, that's Sue's work. That's actually a pretty quick painting for Sue.
She was one of the older,
phenomenal, beautiful work.
She's one of those older artists that got the percentage.
Don't say it. I'm older. Yeah. Anyway, she got a percentage anyway, and she did a ton of cards for them because you want to draw a picture of a ring, or sure, you want to. I'm not even sure if she did the Black Lotus card, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure if she did. If you turn the cards over, if you have the first run of Magic, she's all over it, Yeah. But she ended up getting a percentage, which is probably the main reason why they went through and redid that set real quickly after I think Wizards of the Coast took it over. Or Wizards of the Coast, I think, still has it. When they went through and redid the main deck real quick, because everybody that they had paid a percentage was literally getting rich.
Because I remember they said the more current artists they just commission out.
Yeah, you can't have that happen. No. You can't. You can only thank these people for so long. But anyway, she had gone on with her husband Mark Harmon, and did Dragonstorm. They had their own card game that they were running for quite a while that she did all of the illustration work on that you never see around anymore. Just some beautiful work. So if we ever do Anniversary again, if we ever when we get that omnibus together, we'll run that story, and there's a whole bunch of oddball stories that haven't been around for years that are really worth reading. And of course I want to do some new material. Jason wants to do a Gore story, and I'm sure if we put out an open call, we'll have a ton of people ask to do it, because for some reason it's become legendary. And I love the characters, really enjoy the characters. The last couple times I did something with the characters, it turned into a bad experience. Sue has since moved on, and she's got a whole nother set of circumstances that she's dealing with. And though we have paper between us that I can still do comics if I want to. She has no interest in pursuing Aniverse whatsoever. So,
No, she's rich now.
oh no, she's not that rich. So
we got-
actually, doing that game cost them a lot of money, and her husband passed about 10 years ago, and she's never, been the same. So it was pretty much a soulmate type connection, and she had some sort of medical condition that hit her nervous system. She hasn't been able to hold a brush or paint proper since, and it's very frustrating to her. I feel very badly for her, but that's the story of that. And me, I can't get out of comics. So I've tried painting. I've done painting. I like it. I want to do more of it because I've seen people do, not just Bob Ross, but other techniques out there that I would love to do. I just don't cut the time to do it because I want to tell stories. So that's why I'm here doing sequential art and talking on podcasts, I guess. So.
Same.
Oh, we got Chimera with us. Hey, Chimera.
Hey there.
Yeah, that was having a conversation with somebody. He's like, Sim, you could do animation. You could do this. You could do that. Like, dude, I could do a lot of stuff, but if I do them, there's no comics being done. And that's my main thing.
There you go. Exactly. I have a bucket list now of stuff that, you get to be my age, son. You start realizing that your time on this earth is limited. And anyway, I've got a list of stuff that I want to do very badly. Aniverse is on that list. So, and so are about 3 superhero teams and War of the Worlds, more War of the Worlds stuff. Because I wrote a War of the World series for Caliber and did a couple of other episodes back when I was printing Arrow for a story arc that I know is solid and I want to get it done. And it's on the list, and about a half a dozen other superhero type stuff that I want to do. I do have a couple of more books coming out that I'm writing that I'm very excited about. One's a hardcore fantasy adventure, and the other one's a modern superhero tale that I'm very excited over. Arrow will be printing those as soon as they come out of the printer. We'll be telling absolutely everybody about it. There's Calico Shard from C. Michael Lanning, who's just amazing. It's the story of a young girl cat, and Lindy Jax is in it, who's an elf who's got a weakness for trading and has a huge collection that he carries with him wherever he goes in a pouch. An old a Gandalf type wizard dude, a centaur, female barbarian warrior, and a small male Conan type barbarian fairy that run around together. That I can't wait for folks to read. And then Paragon is the superhero story.
So saying, Sim, you doing fine painting is a bit of an odd thought. You can only put so many different reference in the picture displaying sunflower.
There's only so many hours in the day too, Yeah. Some of these, when I was painting, I was spending a week on a painting.
Me, I would be painting if I had more room.
Nobody is like Frazetta, who could paint, in a couple of hours and come out with a masterpiece. Just phenomenal.
Oh, we got Pale. He says, Chris, does a guest know the red dress story? Yes, he does.
That's my dream. That's my dream.
We're all waiting.
Dunkel Ziffer says maybe they should make a Yankee candle that smells like old comics and classic vinyl records.
Yeah, they would, but
Oh, we got Pedro Iron with us. He says, morning chat, sugar, Sim, and Zim.
Good morning, Pedro.
Let's see. Lola's asking, is Chris going to wear a red furry suit? No, that you're wearing the furry suit, Lola.
And Soul is telling me Sim and no Alf. I'm like, screw you, guy. I'm going to put cameos of Alf in every sci-fi thing I do.
Camaro's asking if you were doing an Indiegogo, Randy.
I will be when I do the Aniverse Omnibus. We Indiegogo'd the Indie Volt Revolt collection book that I'm very proud of. It's a nice, solid product. We print on demanded that puppy, and very happy with it. The books that we're printing now, we are gang printing with a group of other publishers for Liberty. That is being handled by an outside printer broker, and they're incredibly pretty. I can't wait for folks to actually see them. I believe Liberty has them available. We ask everybody to go over to ledg.us or send their retailers over there and sign up. It's just going to get crazier from here. We're planning on doing monthly releases over there as soon as we can get the ball rolling on it. So
I put for those interested, I put the link to that website in the description.
yeah, and there's more Indiegogos in my future. I promise. It's just that right now I'm busy trying to get this schedule up and dealing with a few other. I also do commercial artwork on the side, T-shirt design, small vinyl signs, that kind of thing, and that keeps me busy.
Oh, we got Marinus. Hello, Marinus.
Good morning.
Let's see. Did I miss anybody?
But the point of the story of talking about Aniverse and Albedo is we were out before the furry craze started. So we were ahead of the curve on that. In fact, we had people coming to us at conventions wanting us to draw our characters naked. And we thought they were crazy. And Sue and I had labeled them as perverts. Here's a pervert that wants Chevius, naked, running through the park. And sometimes Sue would sit and draw it, and I've done. There are a few naked pictures, if a furry cat could actually really be naked, out there of Chevius, but I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. So. And I haven't done any adult work in a long time, which there's a part of me that really misses it. So that's also on my bucket list. I have a superhero character I really want to get back to and draw in a Batman animated style that I call Captain Dildo, that I will get around to doing eventually.
Dildo.
Armed with twin dildo rods, Captain Dildo fights evil and perversions wherever he can find it and can't join in.
So says to Randy, the Indievolt Indiegogo is closed, but if you have any links you want to have posted aside from your Twitter, let him know.
Well, we have a Arrow Comics Facebook page, a Friends of Arrow Comics Facebook page. We have a link tree. I have a couple of Anita and Meredith Logren work on that for me because I'm just too busy to be that social. So, and it's not that I'm that reclusive. It's just I don't have the amount of time. That's why I'm hardly ever on Twitter. And when I go on Twitter, I find weird links, for streams that you hit buttons and suddenly here I am.
We had Joe Ball with us. Hey, Joe.
What's up?
Morning to everybody.
I'm checking the covers from Tales from the Aniverse.
Yodam.
The original run.
Yeah, like I've never read it, so I'm checking into it. I might be doing some cameos.
Yeah, the cover for number 3 is Faltress's face, and that was my idea. That was my cover. The cover for number 2 is influenced from Alex Schomburg, the old Golden Age covers. We had a team called Varsel's Vixens. That was really Sue's creation. A group of girls running around. Kind of doing a Soldier of Fortune type of thing, led by a white.
If you would share my screen, if you would share my screen, it's right there on the.
That was a fun cover. Yeah, that's a cover for number 6. There, that's Sue's work. That's colored by Sandy Shriver, who's at the time when we were doing Arrow Comics, she was the best, brightest colorist that we could find. She ended up doing a lot of the Arrow covers. She did all the color work for the Realm as well.
There's one I had.
There's Tales from the Aniverse 3 with Faltress on it. That's got the gore story in it. That's the Massive Comics. I went out and self-published 3 issues as Massive Comics. There's 3 Tales from the Aniverse and 1 issue of an adult comic called Escapade that I have copies of. So
number 1.
That's number 1. Yep, the breakout cover. Yep, that's 654321, all in order there.
Here's a better pick of that image. That's the original.
That's off the original. Where did that come from? Somebody's got that somewhere. I don't have it. That's Sandy Shriver's work. Who's that attributed to? It's in somebody's gallery room.
Comic card fans, Tales from the Aniverse.
Arrow Comics, Jason Moore's Arrow Comics. Oh, that's interesting. That
Mhm.
wasn't Jason. That wasn't really Jason Moore's Arrow Comics, but Jason come in on the second version of Arrow Comics, doing work on the Dead for Ralph and Stewart.
This
Right.
cover here.
That's
cool,
the
right?
Anniverse. That's the Anniverse number 2 under the Weeby Comics banner. We did 2 issues of the Anniverse. So that was fronted by a retailer who, let's say, his personal adventures kind of got in the way of the company. So
I like that one.
So did you?
Gore
Did you-
again. That's by Kirk Jarvin in there. That cover, just like the Anniverse 2. Well, only it's a little bit farther extreme at that point.
I really like that one.
Did you have anything to do with the Dead World books, Randy?
Dead World at the time that was coming out from Arrow, I was their art director. So I was doing a lot of the production work behind the scenes. So a lot of the Dead Worlds, if you go and read the letters pages, especially where King Zombie gets real snarky back at people, that was usually a fun afternoon with Ralph and Stu and me doing the majority of the writing on that as King Zombie, telling people off. We had such a fun time in the letters columns because we'd tell people to, be good, or Timmy the stupid zombie will come over and bite your nuts or something like that. We were pretty up front. It was a lot of fun long before the internet, and trolling. We had King Zombie go out and just berate people, and people would love it.
You call it Chippy McNarly.
Yeah, that kind of work.
Chippy McNarly.
You don't even have to explain what that means. It's exactly right. Yep.
Because I had the issue where it was like the zombie in his face, and it was like it was opening and yelling or something. And I remember it was so cool.
Dead World was the origin of the variant cover, because if you go and look at Dead World 1, it's a face, and you look at Dead World 2, and it's a guy losing his intestines, a zombie with his intestines falling out, and retailers got so mad at that visual. This was before a lot of the other zombie and the gore books had started up, right before that. And we had a number of retailers come back at us going, how do you expect us to put this on the shelves? And back then, retailers actually put independent comics on the shelves, which was amazing, when you've got this guy with his guts falling out. So with issue 3 or 4, I believe it was, we started offering 2 covers. We offered a gore cover and a tame cover. And that came out of a conversation where all of us were in a car on a winter's day, driving from Michigan over to Chicago for a Chicago Comics Con. Mark Bloodworth was in the car. Stuart Kerr was there. Ralph was there. I was there. We were all driving over there, and we come up with this idea, hey, why don't we just offer 2 covers? So it gave Vince Locke, the artist on the book, something artistic to draw for the tame cover. And it was like, it'd be like an apple or a sunny day or whatever. And then on the other hand, he got to do the gore covers, and that was always really gory. And so because he was doing the gory covers for Dead World, he got the gig with Cannibal Corpse. He's done like every album cover for Cannibal Corpse after that. So, and he's done phenomenal stuff with it. Yeah. But that's really where the variant cover started up, because we would offer a tame cover and a gory cover. The tame cover would always sell a lot less than the gory cover, but we still gave the retailers that opportunity to be able to buy a copy of Dead World they can put on the stands without having to put a cut backing board up in front of it to hide the gore.
Yeah.
Like they used to do with Playboy.
That was, exactly. That was back in 86. So that's how far back that goes.
Dude, they used to do that. They used to do that with Lady Death with those sexy covers. There was.
There goes this camera.
They did the same thing with Faust. He used to go to the comic book shop and they used to hide them.
Yeah. Well, I used to work at an adult bookstore. Like I said, we had a whole aisle of that kind of material, and we had little stand-up boards that would go right up to the logo.
Yeah. Because I remember when Image started, there were some extremely violent covers, and there was some comic book shop that would like to hide them, so they had those little boards. Yeah. And if you weren't over a certain age, they give you shit and shame you in front of everybody. Shame. You're like, Their titties.
Well,
Faust was Faust was something.
Well, Faust was an image, but yeah, Faust was unique. That was Tim Vigil. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I blame Tim Vigil for introducing me to strip clubs. So way back when, during a signing, you've never been to a strip club, we've got to go. So it's a whole nother story. It was a 2-day signing at the local comic shop. So
I can imagine.
days.
You can imagine knowing his books.
Yeah. Well, let me tell the story. I've told it before over on the other podcast, but Tim takes us to a strip club. First time I've ever gone. It was called the Odyssey back then, and it was like a scene out of Blade Runner. Low lighting, lots of strobes going on stage down the center with dry ice that would blow up through the floor occasionally. And he met a girl there whose name, her stage name was Jezreel, I think it was. And the two of them got into a whipping contest because this is the time that Batman Returns had come out. So she was in a Michelle Pfeiffer type Catwoman outfit, had a cat of nine tails, and Tim had his belt. And so the two of them started mutual consent, trading blows, She would take her cat of nine tails and whip it across his chest. He would take his belt and whip her across the ass, just for fun. It was mutual consent. Anyway, the next day at the show, Jason Moore and I come walking in, and we look at him and say, how was your night, whipping boy? And he gets this shit-eating grin on his face, and he pulls up his shirt, and he's got lines of white welts running diagonally across his chest. And like I said, he had a shit-eating grin on his face and goes, best night of my life. Never forget it. I'll never forget it. And we were like, whoa, holy crap, dude.
Yeah, some of the best nights of your life is after con sometimes.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Literally. Yeah.
Sometimes you one day you're surrounded by babes, and at night, well, you create good memories for the next morning.
Yeah, little Timmy.
Like this dude, there was a night I was in Quebec. Like people were looking at me the next morning, like, where the fuck is Sim? I'm like, I had a lot of fun last night. And there's no way I was gonna wake up this early.
Yeah.
No way.
One Detroit convention, we traveled over to Windsor to Studio 4, which is a renowned strip club. I don't even think it's there anymore. And the reason we went over there is the artist that we were with, whose name I don't recall or don't remember, but he had found out they had Asian women in the lower story that you could pay to talk to. And he wanted to study Asian faces. So he was going to go into the basement. We were on the main floor waiting for him. It took him, he was gone for a couple of hours. But when we got down to the basement, this Mater D come up in a full tuxedo with a notebook that you could go in and open up and choose whoever you wanted to have talk to for 15, 20 minutes. We went upstairs, not expecting anything, and at this point we were buying really expensive $3 beers, sitting there watching a stage show. And this old time adult film star came out, Vanessa Del Rio, who at that time was older. She was a very hot Latina woman, come out and did an old classic burlesque dance. That was amazing. Unforgettable. That with the long gloves and the big fans and the big feather fans and all of that, just amazing. Best, not quite the best night of my life, but really close. Very, very memorable.
Yeah. So Souls in the Jungle. Oh no, Sim strip club story ahead. Nope, there was not in a strip club. My best moments were not in a strip club.
They were just outside.
Let's just say, like,
in the parking lot.
Let's just say, you're talking with somebody and she goes, "Oh, and I have to go pick up something in my room." And you're like, "Okay, so go come with me." And you go there, and as you walk in, there's 3 other ones naked in the bed having fun, and then the door closes behind you. That type of really nice.
Hey, there's Pops.
Pops, hey yo, Pops, how you doing? Just caught me trying to avoid work. That's all, Pops. I was on Twitter. One of the rare times saw a link, hit the link. Now I'm here.
You know, the only good time I ever had at a strip club, like it's a weird story. Like I'm not a strip club type of guy neither, right?
Only one. Holy crap!
But the best moment I ever had in the strip club was when I went with the mother of my kids. You go there with your girlfriend. Holy shit! That takes a different experience entirely.
Oh, well, like I said, Vigil introduced me to strip clubs, but I went back a number of times. And I tell everybody that asks, if you ever want to learn to draw female superheroes, hit a strip club and just sit there with a sketch pad and a flare pen. Don't take a pencil, take a flare pen and just sit there and draw.
You're done. You're done. You have the attention of everybody. You're gonna
that too. That comes in real handy also. But eventually you get the girls coming by. Can you draw me? It's like I just drew you on the stage. Here, look, and it's scribbles, but it's you get the anatomy down really quick, and you're never gonna find more fit women wearing nothing or next to nothing than you will at a strip club.
There's a guy that stopped me in one of them one day. Go, how the fuck do you get all the strippers to sit at your fucking table? I'm like, I just draw.
Oh no! You know how you really do it. You know how you really do it is because you are an artist and because you have a working knowledge of anatomy and muscle structure. You learn how to rub a back.
Yep.
That's what you do. Because if you're an artist, you have artist hands, which are usually pretty soft.
Yep.
And if you learn to apply the right pressure at the right muscle and get the muscles to release, pretty soon they're literally putting in your hands, and their heads on your back, and you're feeling all over, and they're very happy that you are. So.
And as soon as they touch your hand and they see that you have really, really soft hands, you see their smile grin, and they're like, oh.
Such fucking degenerate.
Fucking degenerate. It's been a long time since I've been in a club, and I miss it dearly. But for a while, Flint, Michigan, here where I live, was known as the home of the $5 lap dance, because the prices never shifted from the roaring days of the shop. And we used to have a lot of GM shops here, and guys that Friday nights, Saturday nights, those places would be wall to wall. And the prices didn't change for quite a long time after that. And so there was a period there where, in fact, I even did a T-shirt of that, Flint, home of the $5 lap dance, that I sold the hell out of for quite a while.
Yeah, and I'll have you know, Lola, I have never been to one of these clubs. I am.
Well, those days are long gone.
Yeah, but you're still a virgin, so it's good.
I am innocent.
You can't find a good old fashioned.
I celebrated my
club anymore. They just don't exist.
Well, come to Montreal. I celebrated.
Well, that's like a whole different country.
I celebrated my 18th birthday, dude. Not at a strip club. At something called the Tara Beach Club, right? And it's not a strip club, but it's close. But one of the best things is when they found out that it was my birthday, they ring the alarm. There was a party alarm, and it's an actual like fire alarm type of thing.
Oh yeah.
They throw alcohol on the fucking bar, right? They light it up. Then you have that nice, amazing, sexy, boobalicious barmaid sitting in a goddamn fire, like on the bar in the middle of the fire, right? And she puts the lime in between her boobs. The shooter between her legs, the line between her boobs, and the salt in her neck. And you have a line of 10 of them. I had a great fucking night.
Of course. You guys start talking about degeneracy, and Red Gaze shows up.
There we are.
Says, will Chris be performing? No.
So's in the chat. Stop it.
I'm only here to study
Asian faces.
Yes, exactly.
I remember going into one of them with my thing one day and going like, took a picture. There was a girl shape exactly like one of those danger girls. Like, if anybody ever tells me those don't exist.
Yeah, Pale Rider knows about the strippers. He says, "Did I hear stripper?"
Yeah, I filled a lot of hardbound sketchbooks that were about the size of an oversized paperback book.
So people, don't forget
Filled
to
up a lot of
like,
them.
don't forget to sub, like, and share, because when we reach 1,000,
No,
when we reach 1,000 sub, Pell Rider makes a good point right there. When Chris goes to New Orleans, he's gonna pop all of his cherries.
What?
So not only is he gonna be winning that red dress run, but he's gonna be popping them cherries.
I don't know. I don't know if I feel comfortable now with Pale Rider talking like that.
You're making me uncomfortable. Yeah.
I need an adult.
You'll make a man out of you.
That's what I'm afraid of. Oh, Lordy.
The good old days.
He's gonna show up there, and Pale's gonna be waiting for him with the red dress and a whole bunch of strippers in a red dress. Meh. With the Barbie Jeep. Don't forget the Barbie Jeep. That was epic. He actually has a Barbie Jeep.
Yeah.
A pink one?
No, it was not pink. I think it was blue, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Oh, come on.
I choose to block this all out of my memory. I don't want to remember any of it.
All right, it's just like pop. Sugar crisp pop.
Oh, Lordy. But you want to tell us some about the Liberty distribution, Randy?
Well, Varian spent years looking at distributors and what they're doing wrong and what's wrong with the system in general. And the system, everybody knows the system's flawed, like you wouldn't believe. And if you've retailed for any amount of time, and I did for over 10 years, you know that Diamond's just a mess. And they get to be more and more of a mess the more and more you get to know them. But that's a whole nother story. But what Varian decided to do is to start a distribution system where retailers could order direct from Liberty with of books that are already on hand instead of something that they're worried about 3 months from now. Because a lot of the retailers I know, when I was retailing, you were always worried about your budget and whether or not you were going to get slammed with a bunch of books, especially towards the end of the month or right at the start of the following month, from all these guys that are desperately trying to hit the deadline that Marvel puts in front of these, especially the guys in the green section. You don't get your book in 90 days or 60 days or 30 days or whatever line that they wanted to make it, they would cancel your purchase order. That's if you were lucky to get a purchase order in the first place. So what Liberty is a large warehouse, getting larger. He's moving here within the next month and a half, I think. He's got the same problem that Ethan had. You know, you see Ethan's first video from his first warehouse, you go, buddy, no, you did not. That warehouse is not big enough. And you know that anybody who saw that video who's been in the business goes, yeah, you're going to get some apparel in. That room's going to be filled. But anyway, he's moving into a larger facility as soon as he can, because he's taking on a lot of product. He's putting a lot of books together and making them available directly to the retailer. He does what he calls ship to shelf. They order the book on Monday, he throws it in a box on Tuesday, they get it by Friday, and they're able to take it right out of the box, bagged and boarded, and stick it up on their shelf. And that's important. Any retailer that has dealt with Diamond knows that all that stuff comes haphazard and might be damaged or whatever, but these are in bags and boards in a secure box already that he's shipping. I've got a box here, but it would take me a minute to go get it. But he's had boxes printed up. He's been prepping for this for a good couple of years, and he's just now getting ready to roll it out, especially with the vulnerability, quite frankly, in the market, and the fact that retailers are now having to deal with multiple distributors, whether they like it or not. And they've been Pavlovian trained for the last 30 years to only deal with one distributor. That's all that they had to do. It's so easy to deal with just one distributor. And now all of a sudden they have to deal with two distributors and then three distributors, and maybe not the third distributor, but if you want to pay a higher price, you can pay for two. Anyway, the big complaint that we've gotten from retailers is, oh no, I don't want to deal with another damn distributor. But once you're signed into Liberty, you order your stuff, you pay for your stuff, you get your stuff, you set your stuff up on the shelf. And if you leave it on the shelf long enough, the back of the backing board has got a Liberty ad on it that's pre-printed with Bell, his mascot.
Mhm.
And if you have a book on your shelf long enough, or you decide that it's long enough and you don't want to long box it, if the retailer doesn't want to stick in a long box or a discount bin, he turns the book over, sees a Liberty ad, he can contact Liberty and trade it in for another book. Within a certain percentage. I'm not exactly sure what percentage it is. You can't go out there and just wildly order books and then return them really quick, because that was always a big problem in the old days when they were doing newsstand distribution. That's why the direct market was so inviting to start with when Phil Suling created it, and the other people out there. I'm sure it wasn't just Phil himself. Non-returnability was the big thing. And Marvel and DC have become master craftsmen on exactly how to abuse that system with multiple variants and 1 for 25 or 1 for 250 and all of this BS that they make these retailers go through. Here at Liberty, you buy the book gets shipped to you, you put the book on the shelf, you leave it up there for as long as you feel it's necessary. If you don't want to long box it, if you don't want to blow it out to a customer, which 9 times out of 10 a sensible retailer is going to want to do, you return it to Liberty, you get another book that you can sell. And we are now, Liberty is at the point now where there are folks out there that are specifically doing product for Liberty. And the retailers, I have to be careful with this. The retailers aren't the only avenue that Liberty is or will be hitting. So some of these books are going to go in other places. But the retailers are always first. Retailers are always the key on this because they are the backbone of this industry. No matter how badly Diamond wants to treat them or how much they think they're being, now suddenly they're realizing they're being abused because they're dealing with all of these other distributors. Liberty is there to give you product, to offer you product. If you want to sell independent and alternative product, you sign on with Liberty, gives you an open call to their catalog and the stuff that's available, and Variant's been putting up more stuff all the time, instantly available to you. He's also putting together a physical catalog so that retailers can have that, because a lot of the retailers don't want to get up online and have to order on the web. They have something about joining the 21st century. I'm not sure, but they're trying to. Liberty is working really hard to go out of their way to try to service retailers and help them make money. And that's a lot more than a lot of these other, companies out there are doing, in my opinion. I ran my head into a wall continuously when I was printing self-publishing with Diamond. Diamond was always the largest hurdle that I had. I always had faith in the product. I always thought the product had quality, but Diamond was not allowing it to get out to the retailers for whatever reason. And we constantly were running into problems. And I've got tons of Diamond stories.
Diamond takes way too much money of the entire block. And they ask for way too much money to promote your own goddamn book and their own goddamn magazine.
Yep. Yeah.
Which should be included in just being there should be promoted. Oh, we have a new book.
That's a whole nother story, because and I stopped working for Diamond back in 2003. And by working for Diamond, I mean self-publishing and watching Diamond make more money than I was making, more profit than I was making. And that really drove me nuts.
They make more than 90% of the goddamn profit, broken, not Diamond, but broken down into different parts like distribution and shit like that. But they make more money than the creator. The creator usually gets around 6 to 8%.
Yeah. Yep. And Diamond's always pulled in 10 to 15, depending upon where in the green section you are. They've got this weird sliding scale of percentages.
They can go all the way up to 20%. Yep.
With Liberty, the publisher sets the price. The publisher sets the discount. Liberty ships to the retailer at no cost to the publisher. The retailer pays shipping. Of course, somebody has to. There is a small, and what happens is the money that Liberty gathers in goes into the printers or publishers' accounts. And when the publisher decides to pull that money out for themselves, there's a small percentage fee, almost like PayPal. I'm not sure. Last time I think Varian was talking as much as 10%. That goes to Liberty. But in order to keep the ball rolling. But again, it's all a discount schedule that the publisher sets. With Arrow books, we have a $4.99 price tag on there. If you look at the books, they're 32 pages. There's only maybe 2 pages of ads, 36 all told if you count that cover. And it's beautiful. The books are some of the best printed books that I've ever been associated with. And I don't mean that as hyperbole at all. They're really pretty books. Everybody that sees them, especially now with the price schedules, because we had talked about price schedules before, with the way Marvel and DC are knocking up their prices, $4.99's right in that ballpark. Only there's no ads, almost no ads. 1 or 2 ads. Might be a comic ad that runs in there for a fake product or something like that. There's a Liberty ad, maybe a company ad. Everything else is all sequential work. And if you look at like the Only Death Can Save Us, because we took that from Russ. Actually, it's still Russ's property. Arrow Comics is all.
Oh, dang it!
There we go. Arrow Comics has always been dedicated to creator-owned properties. So when you see an Arrow comic on the label, Arrow Comic does not own that property. And we can agent it. We can take a small percentage, but we don't own the work. The work is owned by the creator. That's always been a big thing with Arrow, and it'll always be a big thing with Arrow. But when we got Only Death Can Save Us, the okay from Russ to print the book, we broke the book down into three chunks. Actually, Russ did that for us, and then Russ went through and added these great pages in the back that are just pretty, and they'll be in the second issue of his crowdfunded book. But for Arrow, he filled out the book with a short story from the records of the Eternal Realms. Just some phenomenal work. Just kicking ass. He's providing fresh covers for us. He's doing the backup stories. All the backup stories will be in future crowdfunded books because with Liberty, the customer always comes first, but with the properties, especially with the crowdfunded properties, the backers come first. So the backers are going to get the work. The main body of Only Death Can Save Us, he plans on doing book 2, I believe, running the campaign for that in October. He's finishing it up right now. He's working like crazy, like all of us are, on making content and making products available. He's going to crowdfund Only Death Can Save Us 2. And hopefully, with the help of Arrow, he might get a little boost to his backing numbers. We always encourage him to go out and sell his stuff first. There's a Liberty ad right there. You might not have seen. That's got a set of some of the books that we're doing.
Yeah, good stuff
with Bell down here in the corner. Yeah. But yeah, the books are great. Really love them. It's a $5 for an issue from your retailer. The discount that we're cutting to the retailer is half of that, 50%.
Yeah, I seen on Twitter that like he's got a lady that dresses up as the mascot, right?
As Vicky Volt. He had a lady at the Grand Rapids Con dress up as Vicky Volt with a hard hat and a tool belt and that kind of thing. Yeah, he has a Varian has affection for booth babes, I guess. I don't know, but that's what he did. He paid for a model to come out and dress up as Vicky Volt for the show. Yeah.
So saying nice cover. Russ is a beast.
Russ is a beast. Absolutely. And he's kicking out some incredible stuff. Look at that cover. He did that just for the Arrow book. Reminds me of, and here I am dating myself again, showing you how old I am. This is almost like John Byrne's cover for Justice Machine #1. That has them all coming out of an oval portal like that. That's what it reminded me of when I first saw it. That's cool. And then we have hybrids also from Luke Stone that we're offering. And Luke's going through and remastering all of the hybrid books, fixing any glitches that he wasn't happy with in the story, adding more art. And he's throwing other stories, backup stories in the back of that book, as well as pinups. Great pinups, Trash Man pinups.
I gotta get me a nice setup like you've got, Randy. You got a nice spinner rack in the back.
Yeah, I want
and
a spinner
everything.
rack too. I need to get one.
Oh yeah. Look at all that clutter back there. Holy shit. That's why I put this the sheet up during the normal program, because it's got all that stuff. I'm just working out of my basement, And again, it's all Varian's fault again, because he got me into looking at YouTube videos and doing podcasts and that kind of thing. And I said, dude, he had the Indie Volt radio at the time. And wanted to run some original programming. I said, we need to do podcasts. Everybody else is doing a podcast. And I sat for months, to my wife's dismay, in the living room and watched all sorts of the comic podcasts. And I'm like, that some of these people up there, and I who will remain nameless and doesn't include anybody here, believe me, are idiots. They're out there talking about comic history, and I'm sitting there going, that's not how that worked at all, dude. That's what are you? You are so full of shit. It's not even funny. Or they were fake people. They'd come out and take on a bad persona. And I don't even mean like a dramatic persona like Doomcock, who's got his own mask and greetings, friends. That's fun. That's theatrics. That's cool. But when you got guys coming up going, oh, hey, hi, let's talk about comics, it just drives me nuts. It's like give us some respect to the market.
The only thing they know about comics is the Marvel movies.
Or what they've been able to research off of a bent Wikipedia entry.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, come on.
Some
of us out here actually live this shit.
I'm a big comic book fan. Then you'd say a title and I go, what's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that irritates me. I've seen quite a few YouTube channels where they'll start talking about something, and it's literally they're just reading a Wikipedia article word for word.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I found some of it interesting, because there are a couple of people out there, comic book historian, I think is one of them, that actually explain a story to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one was cool.
And sometimes you sit there and you go, what? I mean, even after decades of reading comics, the story goes right over your head, and you're like, what the fuck did that mean?
There's something comic book variant or something like that, variant comics or something.
Variant.
They do
comics
something
variant,
similar where it's like, oh, here's something that you may not know, so they give you a crash course or a recap of like Captain America, so first introduction or something.
Yeah, the thing that really threw me is there were a couple of guys on a podcast talking about how defective the old Golden Age writers were. Well, they didn't know how to write nothing. They were all just idiots, just kind of scripting. It's like, you stupid asshole,
Yeah.
What the fuck, dude? Show some respect to people that came before you that actually blazed the trail for this art form. Jesus.
Yeah. Wow.
Don't just berate these people because you think,
it's not our fault that in the 40s they thought we could breathe in space.
Yeah. or go to Venus and meet women,
Yeah, and walk on the moon without a helmet because there was oxygen there.
Exactly.
Nobody knew.
Or strap dynamite to an arrow and shoot it into the air.
Yeah, that's gonna work.
There you go. That'll work for sure. While chomping on a cigar. Classic. Anyway. The war ain't over, folks, until I'm out of dynamite. Yeah.
Like that dynamite's not going to get in the way at all of that rope or that. Not at all. Not at all.
Those were the days. But, like I said, I talked to Varian about starting up a podcast, and we've been running with it ever since. You go back on the YouTube and look and see our early shows. It's just a couple guys in a dark closet, almost all huddled up. Hey, how you doing? I'm doing fine. Let's talk about comics. What do you think about comics? Comics are great, that kind of thing. But it's taken us a few years to stretch our wings and get used to everything. And it takes everybody time to get used to what you're doing.
Yeah, but marketing, selling, promoting, it's not everybody's cup of tea, and it's something that we have to learn as a skill, because we're creators, writers, or artists. We're not. We're usually out of our basement, like Randy said.
Yeah, especially if you're doing independent comics, you have to be independent. You have to be a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm. So we're not the one in social parties as much.
No.
But you need to get out there and be able to sell your stuff and sell yourself, because you're the product. So now I'm the
All right, hold on.
Blah 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 blah
I-
blah 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 blah. Morning roast. Blah blah blah.
Get out
Welcome
there.
everybody. Blah blah blah. Buy our books.
I was responding to what was. I got a message back from Robert, what was originally going to be our guest today.
No, I was going to say something about your car warranty. What?
Yeah, I get those all the time. I'll get like either phone calls or mail about that. It's like I don't have a license even. I don't drive.
I love when they call me about my credit card balances. I'm like, dude, I haven't had a credit card since 2005.
Yeah,
Get the fuck away from me. You know.
like I've never even owned a credit card.
Yeah. I got into that. That's how you don't pay for your comics initially, kids. Don't pay with it with a credit card because it will come back to bite you on the ass. So,
Let's see. Soul saying to me, the closet comment just made me think how many years it might take until your whole background is so filled with comics that they block out the light too. I'm gonna clean all this up. All
He
my
needs to
comics,
clean
gotta
that
put
and
them away.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what I keep saying too. Just put up a
Yeah.
sheet. And
You need to send. You need to send me that box now.
Just yeah. I'm just gonna shove it all somewhere. Just put a sheet over.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's what all that back there, the rack that you see there on the other side of that goes the rest of the way of the basement. That whole one side is nothing but graphic novels. So, and that doesn't count the bookcase back here or the two bookcases back in that corner that this is blocking, or all of the boxes of books. Because back then you had to print before print on demand, kids. You had to order like a minimum of 2,000 or 3,000 of each book. I used to have boxes and boxes of books all the way from floor to ceiling here in the basement of product. Yeah.
wow.
Yep. Slowly we move it out. That's why when I was offering a help empty Zim's basement tier on the Revolt book, I was not kidding. I was very happy to ship out a lot of that stuff because it's all really good reading, you know.
Yeah. I made sure to back that. I was like,
And
yeah,
and I
give us some
appreciate
Chelsea
it. Thank you
Adams.
very much. Yeah, happy to do that.
Oh my!
And we'll probably, I still have a couple cases of each of the massive books back here, and depending upon the Arrow number 2 from the Arrow line is incredibly rare. The one with the first Varsel's Vixen story in it, but the 1 and 3 we printed 10,000. Number 2 we printed 5,000, and most of those are gone. It's very rare to find that book. Number 4, I think we printed 10,000. 5 we printed probably 7,000. 6 I think we printed 7,000 of that as well. But two I'm pretty sure was the lowest print run out of all the initial Arrow runs, and it's been, holy crap, 30 years, 35 years. 1985 was when Tales from the Anniversary 1 first come out.
Wow.
And to this day, I've only seen one. I just at Grand Rapids Con, I had an artist, Anita, brought me a sculpture of Mischievous under glass. That was just amazing. Sat there and just marveled at that 3-dimensional look at, that she molded herself. It wasn't 3D printed, but one of these days, I've always wanted to do Playmate toys. If I was ever jealous of any merchandising tie-in, it's the Playmate Turtles toys because they were so sturdy. I just love that whole line. Just phenomenal.
Pop says he got 3 extra books.
3 years. Yeah, Pop saw the books. He was at Grand Rapids.
And Pop says, shock and spank, Monkey Boys. Randy gave me one at GRCC last weekend. Yeah, I seen the Twitter. Was it Twitter pictures of you guys all together? I think it was on Twitter.
They were on Facebook too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'd say it was somewhere.
There'll be more. There'll be more up as we go along. We're talking eventually. We really want to do a Liberty Con or a series of them where we have people, all the people that are associated with Liberty all together. We would love to get a group shot of everybody.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
So it's taken a lot of logistics and cooperation, and it's been such a crazy comedy of errors. We could do an entire episode of like the Live Wire or the Breakfast Buzz podcast with everybody sitting there laughing about everything that's happened, even up to this point. And there's still more coming. I mean, it's crazy. And it's I've said this a couple times on the podcast. Now is the time for everybody. out there who's doing alternative, independent crowdfunding books, making their own IPs. Now's the time to blaze those trails. It's the Wild West out there. Make your mark. Go out there and be somebody.
Yeah.
You can actually make a living doing this now, where before it was literally, and for decades, it was literally a labor of love.
We've talked about this before, right? Comics been here for a long time.
Yeah.
And every so on years, there's a big, you could say, resurgence. You could say, going back to the source, people got enough. That's how Marvel got started. People got enough of doing all that stupid fucking romantic books, going from company to company, getting canceled after 4 issues, starting this and that. So they were closing down.
The cool thing, and I did a mini series called Spank the Monkey on the Comic Market, where the first issue is all about history. And I was working, before Arrow resprung up again, I was working on a graphic novel version of that to explain how the comic market is. History of comics is so fascinating because it's literally built on the backs of the previous person getting fucked.
Yes. And that's one of the things that happens. Marvel was Kirby going back to that closing. What was the name? Harvey? What was it called again before?
What?
Before it became Marvel. What was the name of it again?
Timely Atlas.
Timely, yeah. It was closing down. They were taking out the freaking furniture. Kirby's there, and they go, "We're desperate. What the fuck are we gonna do?"
Well,
people are desperate.
A lot of folks will tell you that's kind of an over exaggeration on Kirby's part, but he deserved to over exaggerate because of how he was treated. You know, they might not have been there literally taking the furniture out, but they did save Marvel Comics by Kirby and Lee coming in and restructuring and doing
it. Was
superheroes.
always the point is they got the freedom to do what they wanted because people were desperate because the business was down. The same happened with Heavy Metal magazine. People were getting censored. People were getting this, and they started Metal Hurlant in France, which was their way of revolting, going, "Stop telling us to do kids comics." Well, superheroes and stuff like that, because they had to do Lucky Luke and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then you had Image Comics that had enough of all that shit too, and they get you guys are abusing us. Like, I'm skipping a few. I'm just going into the where the entire zeitgeist of comics took a stand and going, "Oh, we want new stuff now," and this is where we are right now. It's one of those little things where the industry is stagnant. It's dying. And this is where we are. This is another one of those, like, 25, 30-year type of thing where it's like, this is the moment where people are interested in new creation.
Yeah. Well, you go back to the creation of comics as we know it, comic strips, the actual adding of words and pictures. It's always been not a political art form per se, but a rebellious one.
Yes.
Especially the ones that are independent alternative. When comics originally started in Punch magazine and newspapers, where long before they could even print photography, they figured out if they could print drawings and make sales, but if they printed exaggerated drawings, they made more sales. That politician didn't just look like a politician. He looked like a pig. He looked like an elephant. He looked like a donkey.
One of the oldest comics that they have in print, it's one of those little, I don't remember the name. It's on the tip of my tongue, but remember those little comic books that was erotic?
Oh, you're talking the Tijuana Bibles?
Yeah, those little erotic comics.
Well, that's always part of that rebellion. But and it's such a huge chain of events that have happened over the years that have led up to this. As far as the art form all around the world, like your Metal Hurlant would not have existed, I don't think, if there wasn't an underground movement back in the 60s.
Exactly.
That Kurtzman inspired Crumb and Dave Sheridan and all of these great, phenomenal cartoonists to sit down and speak their mind and start testing boundaries.
And it's in the core of an artist to be rebellious.
Yeah.
To provoke thought. It's like you're doing something. It's not to send one message. It's to make people think sometimes. Right.
Well, you'll hear a lot of people. Well, comics have always been political. No, that's not the way it works. Comics have always been expressive, and sometimes that expression is political. But you've always had people out there, rebellious, independent, alternative. That's why we're there. That's why we were always there. The black and white boom started because people didn't want to work in the mainstream. Image started because they realized the royalty percentages were slanted towards the corporation and not to the creators. Now with crowdfunding, all the middleman's gone.
And if it wasn't of people like
creator,
and if it wasn't of people like Neil Adams, because I know he's not the only one, but he's one of the main one that we know that decided to fight back, that get your art back and sign in all your thing. Remember when they used to sign their check and we waive every right?
Oh no,
away?
They still do. They still do it. They still have work for hire contracts.
Yeah, but it used to be on the back of the check.
Yeah.
And Neil Adams kept some of them, and then they fought back, and it's thanks to people like that people get their art back. They get credit. They get royalties.
Neil pushed for common decency.
Yes,
is what it was. The thing that threw him up against the corporations was he found Siegel and Schuster penniless.
Yes,
and they had created Superman, and the corporate had made so many billions, even at that point, off of their creations, literally off of their back, and that they needed something in order to have a level of dignity. And look at how many years later it took Marvel to admit and to treat the Kirby estate right. Kirby wasn't even alive to see this.
Don't you think it's weird that it took Disney buying it for them to actually acknowledge it now?
Well, they were backed into a corner.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It took Disney to buy it to actually come out with it, because they were still like in court. Stanley went there and lied.
Well, you'll see a lot of these court cases are always settled out of court because they can't stand to have that judgment, because they know they're going to lose. Their lawyers come up and go, look like you're going to bite the shorts on this one. They'll settle out of court real fast. But in the meantime, they'll treat the artist as a piece of shit on the bottom of their boot. And they always have. It's always been a constant.
Ross was still fighting when he passed. She fought till she passed. And then the kids saw some of that come back. And I do. That was that was a choking moment. Not choking, tears.
And even then, what do you put a value on that? How do you put a value on that? They got paid too little. They were just paid enough to make sure that they stayed quiet, put a smile on their face, and they were happy. Yeah. That's all that they were concerned about. It's not about the artist getting just rewards. Mm-hmm. It's about keeping them quiet and happy.
And they keep those pages with the notes in the vault.
Yeah. Well, look at what they did to Mike Friedrich and Ghost Rider.
Yo, dude, that's fucking disgusting.
How they rode right over him because they could. Dude, and they did.
Dude, you go. They even charge him.
Yeah.
They sued him back.
Yeah.
And he's on his fucking dying bed. Give the guy some fucking money. Let him go.
And again, the money's not really the key. The money is a sign of respect.
I know, but we're also talking about a dying guy.
It's same thing with Bill Mantlo. Bill Mantlo didn't have nothing until people started pointing. This guy's in a nursing home. He got hit by a bus.
Same thing with Finger.
You need to treat him with a level of respect. Yeah.
The actual, the guy that's behind the Batman we know.
Yeah. Well, now we're able to do crowdfunding, and you don't need that many fans to make a living. When you're doing it all yourself, you just need a solid base.
And sometimes I think it's one of the things that we need to discuss more on, like you were saying, on how that industry, that mainstream's built on ripping off artists, taking their stuff away and treating them like crap.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I have in mind every freaking time I think about it now. It's stupid. It's like I think about Kirby, I think about Bill Fingers, I think about all Ditko, I think about those people that died broke.
Yeah. Well, look at Ditko's a prime example. Ditko got labeled as a weirdo.
Yeah.
All because he
got canceled.
Due.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this guy listens to Ayn Rand, and he's got all of these beliefs and blah blah. He's just no. He was out for the individual. He asked, what's it for me? And he went through and created so many great things.
He was one of the first ones to actually fight back.
Yeah. I always wanted to reprint the Mr. A material in the newspaper that I was doing, because it was so radical and so just dead on. What is white is white. What is black is black. There is no gray. There's if you think that you're gray, you're black, and you're evil, and you have to be reckoned with. Just amazing.
He was very black or
amazing
white,
political
or white.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of the time, he was just out for respect. That's what all of these guys wanted. You know, the money is nice. To live on the money is great, but the money is a sign of respect.
I recommend watching the documentary. It's on YouTube. It's called In Search of Ditko.
Yeah.
It's there's
a lot of great comic docs out there now, and more coming all the time. You know, this just for now. I'm working on a forward for Glenn Fleming's book. He's got a book off of a documentary that he did because he went to visit Kirby twice at two different points in his life, and he's did a documentary. He's written a book about it that he's going to be offering on Amazon here shortly. Just amazing, you know.
I remember like another thing that I was watching is an old interview with Kirby, right? And they were asking him a question about who created stuff.
Yeah.
It was back when he was a bit vocal about it.
Well,
and he starts talking about it, and then out of nowhere, Stanley jumps in.
Yeah.
And the conversation became very weird and awkward. And that's when he had one of those cease and desist, and had some legal issue after, and he wouldn't talk about it.
Well, Lee come around towards the end of his life.
Yes.
And started making trying to make things right, because he started to realize that this stuff was historical.
But I also found out something, that he was also legally binded to it. It was all part of the original deal. Yeah,
could be. Yeah, not surprising, because like I said, when you settle out of court, you have all these papers that nobody gets to see, a ruling that never happens. It's all because they need to keep that gray area working. The public domain here in the States is the same thing. Nobody wants a definite ruling because they're afraid it's going to go one way or the other, and they're going to be screwed.
One of his last interviews, Stanley said, like, I would like to say that we co-created everything.
Yeah.
And he starts the line saying it like, and then, but we work on a whole bunch of stuff, and then it gets corporate, and then you're like, huh.
But like, Pale says, I was thinking of abandoning the red dress IP until just now listening to Randy talk. Full steam. Gosh dang it. What did Randy?
And so saying, Randy, your pronunciation of Metal Hurlant was okay. Was on point.
I was not shopping or zoned out, Pale Rider. I was listening. I was answering a message on Twitter. That's about it.
Well, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to host.
I'm trying to do multiple things here, Sim.
Yeah, but we've discussed this.
And I am not, and I can never claim to be a professional.
How can you be a professional podcaster?
So says the mainstream comic book industry is a big Shark Tank.
Yeah.
They're mostly piranhas. You know, especially at the corporate head.
You know, with sharks, you have a fighting chance.
guys taking little bites out of the meat that's thrown into the tank. So, yeah. I don't know if it's sharks as much. The whole industry, if you go back and look at the history, is just amazingly filled with greed and backstabbing. And like I said, I was working on a graphic novel that sat and talked about some of this stuff and how artists were treated. Even back then, they were always second class. And in the art world, you were the bottom of the basement for decades if you worked in comics.
Yeah,
that's why
the only one that mattered was
Lee
the
wouldn't
writer.
even use his own name.
Yeah, the only thing that mattered back then was the writer.
Even then, the writers were always. You look at Stan Lee. Stan Lee wouldn't use his real name on them comics. Jeez, he was ashamed. He wanted to do a novel one day and didn't want to be associated with them funny books.
It's true. If you go back and they didn't even care about the writers. They used to have like a group of writers, like 10 writers under the same name.
Nobody even had credit back then.
Yeah,
it really took Marvel to spring up. Actually,
that's why there's a lot of old comics that people don't even know who actually wrote them.
Actually, the ECs kind of started springing up like that because Bill Gaines, MC's son, had this beautiful mind for finding the best, most unique people possible, so that when you read an EC book, you didn't really have to see the signature down in the corner, but you associated that name with that work. You know, there was a Wood, or there was a Jack Davis, or the Jack Kamen, and all of that. And even when Gaines couldn't do regular comics and started doing magazines, and when he brought, he look at the talent pool that he brought into Mad for decades, Dave Berg and Mort Drucker and the great Don Martin and all of this, the usual gang of idiots were actually a gang of incredibly gifted cartoonists that were very individual and had their own unique look and were incredibly talented. That's why Mad has the reputation that it has, is because of the quality of talent that was there.
Mm-hmm.
That's why ECs have the reputation that they have.
Yeah,
because of the quality of talent.
Sergio wasn't there often.
Oh, he'd pop in once a week.
Yeah,
or not once a week, once a month. When the galleys were done, he'd pop in with a spiral notebook for a day and sit there and just do doodles in the
Wasn't that where he started Groove at the end before he went to that Image?
I'm not sure, but if he started Grew there or not, I don't think so. But
not sure.
It was more little gag cartoons in the corner.
Yeah,
maybe an occasional page or two cartoon joke that he would sell to them. But that was always part of the fun of Mad. You had this talent everywhere, even in the gutters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm not into caricature, but their caricature artists on the cover were freaking sick.
Oh, let's look at all the work that Mort Drucker did. Holy crap. All of the movie adaptions that he did. He's just spot on so much of that material.
I'll never forget the Thriller cover.
Yeah.
Like every time somebody mentions Matt, I have that Thriller cover when he was Michael Jackson with the black thing with the big lips, and I'll never forget it. It was very striking.
I just think of Alfred E. Newman.
Mm.
They built up that whole
or the Alf one.
Yeah. Just so many classic, or the tap dancing Star Trek one.
We don't have that anymore. Because
no,
they're trying to kill comedy. That's what I was telling one of my friends. That's like, I'm not gonna say too much, but I'm like, maybe you should do a comedy magazine. Let's bring back Gru or something. Like not Gru, but Mad type of thing. Like
that's why the old plops are so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like we need this shit. Like
yeah, we do.
And especially now that all that SJW shit. It's not just comics or movies. It's comedy. Comedy's dead.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, like I've seen multiple shows and stuff show up on my Twitter feed, and I'll look at the little clip or something that
Randy,
play it, and it's not funny at all.
That would be a good idea. Start another type of Mad magazine. Start reaching out to those canceled comedian to write some skits and get some of us artists to freaking draw this shit.
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
I know, right?
Yeah, somebody might already be working on that. I don't know. Can't say for sure. You never know.
There's a lot of stand-up comedian right now that I'm pretty sure they would pretty much like to write a little skit.
One of the things I've always said that I like having Sim on for is because he knows all these names of creators and backstories and stuff like that. And that's another thing I get from watching your show, Randy, is all these things, and I don't know none of this stuff. I'll be honest. I never paid attention to the names growing up or anything.
Well, you knew what Tales from the Aniverse was. Holy crap! That still amazes the shit out of me. Somebody comes up and goes, "Hey, yeah, I remember Faltress," or they bring this weekend when I got the Mischievous statue. It's that's amazing, just phenomenal.
Yeah, so I learn a lot whenever these sort of streams go on where people start talking about maybe a
all of our strip club experiences. Yeah.
Well, that's learning too much. That's learning too much.
Well, I got stories, but this ain't the strip club podcast. That's another link I'm sure I'll find on Twitter eventually. Yeah.
what's Soul saying here? He's saying to Sim, "Yup, comedy is dead." In the Suicide Squad trailer, it's any more questions, and the shark guy goes hand while pointing to his fingers, and that's considered witty and applauded by
Dude,
fools.
the fucking stupid
Oh, yeah.
projector joke.
Yeah.
The projector joke. Like, it's supposed to be funny, seriously? Like, the only funny joke of all that part, seriously, was, oh, we're gonna die. I hope so.
Yeah.
That was the funniest joke of the entire scene. Not the movie, that scene. It was a bad scene.
I haven't sat and watched the movie yet, so I haven't.
It's
the
an
time to do
enjoyable.
that.
I have to say it's an enjoyable watch, but don't be expecting a cool story. Just it's like like a fan service 10 bits type of thing. If you get my drift.
Most of the time, you have to be brain dead to watch this stuff anyway.
It's more like fun scenes.
That's what you
And
watch when you're fried after a long day of working. You go upstairs and you find something you can lose yourself in. So most of the time for me, it's the World Poker Tour channel. So.
It's one of the things that I like about Steve, the editor on Tales and Adverse, when he's reading this stuff. He's like, I like the fact that you're funny, but you're not trying to be.
Yeah.
And we don't have that anymore in books. Like, you know what I mean?
I do.
It's like you're not trying to make it a comedy. You're not trying to make it a parody. But you don't have to take everything so goddamn serious. And you need to have fun with that, your viewer.
Well, it's all part of entertainment, you know. It's to lose them not just through drama, but through comedy and real life situations.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit around and talk about pizza all day, kid.
But
it's just not funny.
It's exactly if you know a blood hunt, like that's exactly what I tried to do with it. It's a very violent, very dark, very gory story. But every action scene, every gore is comedic. In a way, you know what I mean?
I bet they don't have any dynamite strapped to arrows, though, do they?
No, but there's one
It's coming. I know.
But there's one that died choked on a vibrating dildo.
Oh, there you go.
Or the other one has a broken bong in his throat and it's still smoking.
Got to do what you got to do. Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. It's like, you have to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Not everything is a drama. Not everything, like if you remember those good old fashioned action movies, right? Like one of the ones that when I was writing Blood Hunt, one of the things I had in mind was the movie Payback. Remember Payback with Mel Gibson?
Yeah.
How good was that movie? Like, it's very dark and gruesome in the world, but it's funny. The ways that he's going to kill people, or when they argue about the amount of money and that he wants less, and then how much his suitcase worth more than it.
Uh-huh.
That's funny shit. Do you think that was planned to be a comedy? No, because human interaction is funny. Especially in a conflict, people get cocky. They get it. That's what makes Quentin Tarantino's dialogues good.
Yeah. Yep.
How long's it been? We've been going.
Yeah, an hour and 42 minutes. Don't forget to sub, like, and share. When we get 500, we give away original art, and when we reach 1,000, he goes to, join the Red Dress Run. Run, sugar, run.
Unfortunately,
I was going to say I've got a hero bot I need to get back and finish dialoguing. So that's fine.
Right, yeah, we're gonna wrap this one up, and then I'll finish my conversation with our rescheduling our original guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Like I said, I was just cruising Twitter and saw the link, and I wonder if this is still active. Click.
Yeah,
Looks like it's from today.
Yeah, that actually worked out really well because just the other day on the stream, I was talking to Sim saying that I wanted to get like you and Varian and stuff back on because we hadn't had you on in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but it's been crazy busy. I shouldn't even be doing this, to tell you the truth. So I should be working on this funny book stuff. I got a huge shirt order I'm behind on, and I just got a call for 2 big signs this morning. So I'm like, can it wait until after the weekend? We got stuff going on.
Well, at least you're busy. At least you're not.
Yeah, but
work.
It's like working in comics. It's either feast or famine. You're either you have a shit ton of work, or you're out there trying to desperately look for work. So thank goodness it's busy. Yeah.
So saying, Sam, I prefer your dildo joke to anything Hollywood these days. any day.
What is final thoughts? If you can't bake a pie or give a hand job, good are you? What? What?
By the way,
Oh,
Chris,
wait a minute. I seen that comment on Twitter, Pam Ryder. I know what you're talking about now. you,
and we also have Logan saying hell in the chat.
is that? Oh, that's Logan.
Yeah, he changed his name.
Hail.
Oh, Logan, what are you doing? You're just confusing me now.
He's rebranding, I guess.
Yeah, we have to bring humor back because I really want to do that Captain Dildo comic eventually.
Yeah, dude, I'm saying it. We need that comedy thing, and
Yes, we do.
yeah, it can't just be just one comic. It has to be like little skits, multiple skits, all like Gru was. Not Gru. I mean, why do I have Gru in my head every freaking time?
Just like Plop
Mad,
was.
Mad or
Plop.
Plop? Yeah,
Plop. Look at that.
Plop.
Look at that navel working right
Or
there.
Mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Circling it back around the plop.
Great,
even,
awesome stuff. That's the Marvel had one called Spoof for a little while, along with Not Brand Egg.
Yeah, Spoof, I remember.
Did
And,
Crazy magazine, even though that lasted like only 6 issues. Plop lasted a lot longer than that.
You make sure that there's a parody of a current movie or something, or a popular movie. That's all you need. Like that was the recipe. Like everywhere in the world, they had their own version of Mad. And it was the best-selling magazine.
It's still running over in England. They still have the Beano and a couple of other books like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Hex joined us right at the end. Hey, Hex.
Hail.
We're going to go ahead and wrap her up. Souls put all the links there at the end for Liberty distribution and Twitter links and all that. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yep.
Arrow Comics.
Thanks for that.
So thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks yet again, Randy. I really always love
No problem. Happy to avoid work with you. No sweat.
Always great getting to hear the stories.
I got a ton of them. Yeah. Been around long enough. Yeah.
I mean, before we sign out, I just want to do one thing. Just a little quick update. Right now, we're doing the final little edits. We keep finding little things to touch up. But we should be having the print file done by the end of the week and ordering the prints.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't have to have all those touch-ups if you did it right the first time. That's what Steve's probably saying.
Oh, you're always going to find shit wrong.
Dude, you always find shit. Like
Steve
gets pissed at us. He goes, dude, you guys missed a mistake. I go, you're the one that went over the fucking dialogues. Like shit happens. Dude, it's quite simple. You read it so many goddamn times that you start your mind starts going into fast reading, so you skip shit.
Yep.
Yeah,
kind of like blends it all.
Yeah.
Together. Yeah,
it's part of the reason I'm so thankful I have a wife because she goes through. Especially now, she's going through everything, so and make sure that the spelling is right.
Ooh, Sam, I seen myself eyeballing that leave studio button again. I was gonna hit it. I was like, red button. I start going down.
Stop right.
Wait a minute. No, end
Stop right.
broadcast. Up
Stop
there.
right.
Oh, there is a red button right there, isn't there? Yeah.
I've done that so many times now. I'll hit leave studio instead of end broadcast.
Oh, yeah. The end broadcast is up in the corner.
Yeah, I keep wanting to go to the other.
Himself out.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
What you do is get a bunch of video clips and then fight over who gets to end. So then you can play all these oddball video clips that we've got. Oh, wait until Tuesday. We got an awesome clip that we're playing because we're not going to be around Thursday or Sunday. We have a phenomenal clip to end the show with that we're just going to, and then you won't hear from us for a week. It'll be great.
I always enjoy your end clips with like
always fun
and everybody.
Oh, and I've had people that have stopped coming on the show because we run that Gail Simone clip. Yay! Think about what you've accomplished right before Ethan going, you draw the Flintstones naked. There's a market for that. Yeah. We have one we're running at the end of Tuesday, and we've talked about not running it and talked about running it. We've had it for a couple of weeks from an interview that was done from somebody who berates conventions. And we're like, well, I think we'll run this as we go out the door. And then not have to explain it for a week. There we go. And then it's up to you to figure out what's up.
Yes. So everybody, after we end this here in a second, go check out the Indie Folk YouTube channel.
Everything's archived. All the nitwittery and buffoonery is over there that we've done over the years. Almost all of it. Some of it's on the Roku channel because YouTube is goofy. But we just became monetized even without a red dress threat. Yeah, we just got monetized. We've got over 1,000 subscribers over on Indie Volt. There's hours and hours of programming buffoonery over there.
And
if you haven't been there.
I don't know why you use threat, because it's more of a demand than a threat.
Perhaps a titillation.
Yeah, if I took the red dress out now, Pale Rider would probably show up at my house. I got to do it to appease him at the very least at this point.
With a video camera or something more adult.
I don't want to think about that.
Okay.
I want to protect myself.
Virginity? What? No.
Property.
We're considering buying a track and drone camera when he goes to Louisiana and do the red dress one just for protection.
Think of all the beads you'll be able to collect.
It will be Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras. Yeah.
Have you seen this man? All right, everybody. Later. We're heading out.
Later.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.